Hi everyone, welcome back to topic 3 for this MOOC on Sustainable International Business and Startups. I'm Nattavud Pimpa from the College of Management at Mahidol University. We'll deliver this topic for you. If you remember the importance of the ESG framework or the environmental aspect, societal aspect, as well as the governance of the business, you can really bring the 3 aspects back into this particular topic where we are going to introduce issues and the impact of each element of the ESG framework in order to help you, whether you are running a startup or you are working in international business of the larger scale. It is important that you can understand and implement the right ways of the ESG framework into your business transaction and process. Let's start with the E. The first E, which is environmental issues or impact on business. Okay, well, simple as the fact that when you think of business process, people always focus on the input of the resources and the output of the products. Along the line, the process of doing or producing, you have to think very carefully about whatever happened as the byproduct of the business. The input in itself can be the cause of environmental issue. For example, the choice of energy. For example, the input from the product or the production. Along the way, you have to think a lot about what can be seen as waste or what can be seen as the unused product or byproduct. And at the outcome process, you have to think about, can you really use all of this and how would you manage the waste from the production, right? So let's say the environmental issues for startup or for international business can be quite complex in this issue. For example, let's start with international business. Has long been discussed among those in international business that issues on environmental degradation by an international business organization can be a long and ongoing problem in the host countries. If you think of companies that work in particular in the natural resources or in production, manufacturing, they can also leave carbon footprints in the host country. And now we are suffering a lot of issues there. But with the regulations of the World Trade Organization and the local government, you start to see a good sign of improvement. Well, for startup, whom you may think of ability to be flexible in terms of working on environmental issues, I can see 2 aspects that I'd like to address with you. First, when you think about the so-called just generic startup, for example, if you adopt technology to solve finance or to solve service issues, you have to be sure that the choice of energy, the choice of technology that you use to produce or to be part of the production has to be green, or at least you have to abide by the environmental issues in the host country. Okay. The second thing, if you think of areas that require specific attention from a startup, you might think of waste management. Okay, waste management seems to be the issue if you focus on the so-called SCP or sustainable consumption and production. We try to reinforce the amalgamation from the consumer and the producer to share their needs and to be able to plan the resources used and consumed at the right amount so that we can have enough resource for the next generation. Okay, the material footprints by startup can be the issue as well, and this fit into target 12.2 of the sustainable consumption and production from SDG. This is a concern because in the Asia Pacific, the number of waste doubling a lot more in East and Northeast Asia since 2005. And the construction, manufacturing sectors, as well as the other manufacturing provide a large amount of material footprint. Agricultural sectors in the Asia Pacific region can also be a part of this problem. Resource efficiency has been conducted and trying to use as the way for solution since the beginning of this decade. We found that resource efficiency seems to be the way to go. right? So this day, when you think of startup that try to look for investor or try to look for co-founder, the angel investor, resource they use as part of the production has to be mentioned as one of the key environmental strategies. The second aspect, which is important as well, is on the way that they work as the facilitator of other business in the environmental issues. I'm pretty sure that throughout Southeast Asia, where we are located, you'll find out companies or startup organizations in Indonesia and Malaysia that work towards resource efficiencies as well as waste management and try to promote green technology as part of the sustainable production for them. A great example that I'd like to share with you in front of the screen is algenesis materials. Do you know that 532 billion pounds of plastic are landfilled or incinerated each year? This startup, algenesis materials, being aware of that issue and produce fully biodegradable plastic made from algae and helps the planet recover from the pollution caused by products that are made from fossil fuels. This material science and technology company unite the knowledge of amazing scientists of a mission to help the planet recover from pollution caused by products made from fossil fuels. And they redesigned plastic material, and their patent technology became the world's first high-performance technology that worked towards the promotion of green system, as well as looking at biodegradable plastic that will be environmental friendly for the consumers and the earth, right? So all of these aspects as part of the environmental aspect or impact from startup should have been the issue for a long time. I understand this might be late, but the new startup, the new generation of startup will have to be really careful on the choice of business conduct. The last point under this issue is, of course, I'd like you to bring back the concept of business model. In your business model, it is important for us to see how can you really operate the business cycle. In particular, what do you really see as the environmental impact of your business? How would you measure the impact? How would you really identify the impact? And perhaps, how do you think of the ways to mitigate the environmental impact in the long run? But if you think of the positive impact of your environmental issues, that would be great. You can really synergize your resources and effort with partners. A good example that I'd like to share with you is a company that promotes the use of AI technology for measuring, reporting, and reducing the carbon footprint on the operation and supply chains. You know, this company tried to look at carbon emission and how to promote technology, and the expert who designed the platform to help future-proof the business for a net zero carbon world. And of course, this kind of startup helped most business, other business, to fully automate carbon accounting across all business units and supply. That way, it enables sustainability teams to identify opportunity for improvement and effectively engage stakeholders. So, in sum, I'd like to address this point and like to encourage any of you who are thinking of your future plan, whether it's a short or long term, when it comes to environmental issues of your startup. First, work out the stakeholder. Second, look at a particular aspect of environmental issue, from the manufacturing, from the production as an input, and the output of your product, whether you think of adopting of the so-called circular economy system, whereby you don't leave any waste or any non-usable items into the host country. And last but not least, it is important that you work with other stakeholders to promote green technology for a good production that will be environmentally friendly in the long run.